All right, good evening, everyone. My name's Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University, a site for legacy, death, and taxes, and we're playing sort of a sister deck to D&T. Today, we are going to be playing some Maverick. So in case you're not familiar with this deck, similarly to D&T, we're sort of like a Mother of Runes Thalia Stoneforge deck. But unlike D&T, we have a toolbox package built around Green Sun Zenith. So kind of going up the chain, we have Dryad Arbor as mana acceleration, as well as Noble Hierarch. Then we have sort of like 4 tutor targets at the 2 CMC cost that are sort of assorted utility. Teague is sort of a way to end the combo decks. Scavenging Ooze is a graveyard hate card, or just something that can get very big in your mid-range matchups. And Scrib Ranger kind of does the things that you need it to do, but it looks really bad on paper, but it's really cool in practice, and it enables some very degenerate things. Or sorry, I guess it's 3 at CMC2. That was the Sylvan Library. And then at 3 CMC, we have Knight of the Reliquary, which is frequently what this is going to end up being, copies 4 through 8 of Knight, as well as Knight of Autumn. There's kind of 2 unique things about this main deck. Number 1, it doesn't have Batterskull. It's playing Sword of Light and Shadow instead, which I think I like. Although I think Batterskull's very good right now with all like the red prison that's floating around, but I can totally see the utility of this card. So I'm totally not dismissing that. I'm just not sure how I feel about it without trying it. I've played the card in Maverick before, and it's been good. And I guess there's a decent amount of like Blue-White Stoneblade and Miracles around right now. So I guess this is like some recursion in Swords to Plowshares protection. So maybe it's fine. What I do really like about this list is we have 2 main deck Palace Jailers. If you just kind of like get a feel for like the amount of mana that this deck can produce, we have 24 lands plus 4 Noble Hierarchs for 28 mana sources. And then Knight of the Reliquary and Scrib Ranger are also kind of like honorary mana sources as well. So you end up being able to produce a ton of mana. So if you have cards like Palace Jailer and Sylvan Library that let you just keep fueling and refueling, you can really take advantage of what your deck has to offer. As far as the sideboard goes, it's relatively traditional Maverick stuff until we get to the 2 Chalice of the Voids. This is something that like I've been trying out in D&T, and I think this is a good thing to try to bring over and port to Maverick. Sort of like D&T, a lot of times if you have a 1-drop in your opener, you'll play that out on turn 1, and then on turn 2, you can play this without really impacting your hand a lot of the time. Hey, thank you very much for the raid. For those of you just turning in now, hi, my name's Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University, and we're just finishing up a deck tech on Maverick, and we're about to jump into some matches. One final thing that I want to add here, this is not my deck list. This is D. Neely's most recent 5.0 deck list. He actually donated in order to go and, I don't want to say bribe, but I was in sort of one of our high-end grinder legacy chats, and I was like, hey guys, what do I play tonight? And Tin Fins was being tossed about, and then he came in and said, hey, give you 6 ticks if you play Maverick. And, well, let's be honest, this is like a Thalia Palace Jailer Chalice of the Void deck that also gets sweet cards like Choke. It didn't take a lot of convincing to get me to want to play this. So let's go ahead and hop into a league and see how this feels. Oh, this is over here. We're coming off of a 4.0 that really should have been a 5.0 with the TET, the Epic Thief deck. Let's see. What do we talk about while we're in the queue this time? So I started playing Octopath Traveler for the Switch. That game is pretty cool, but I guess we'll talk about that while I'm queuing next time around. I was having a debate the other day. If you have the choice of Noble or Green Sun Zenith for Dryad Arbor, which do you take? Let me think about that. Let's talk about that once I've kind of gone through them all again. This is a mulligan. This doesn't produce mana. This is also a very bad hand, unfortunately for us. Like, we only can produce a colorless mana here. And if we scry a green source to the top, we kind of still have, like, 2 mana producers. I really don't like to go to 5. But this is probably a time where it's correct to. Okay, okay. All things considered, this is a good recovery. We'll put the cradle on top. We get to go land mom. And then hopefully we'll get to, like, play, like, mom and, like... I'm not going to get cheeky and mom attack, because if my Dryad Arbor were to get bolted or something like that, I would be a sad panda. Alright, so we're probably playing against either lands or 4-color loam. Probably lands. This is going to be a Tabernacle, try to get me. That's awfully what it's feeling like. Yeah. So the good news is that Tabernacle by itself will pay for whatever creatures I keep. The bad news is everything else that's happening right now. Now we probably go aggro with this. It'll suck if they go, like, land, Mox Diamond, discard a land, punishing fire. But I think I'm going to need to try to sneak a lot of points of damage in this game. I'm going to presume that my opponent either got a Wasteland to kill Gaia's Cradle or a Life from the Loam with that. Alright. So I can get 2 with Gaia's Cradle, flash in Scrib Ranger, not really get anywhere. So let's just pay for these 2 and move on. Alright. We got another land. That's good. That means we can start making some progress, and I just have to decide what I want to do with attacks. I'm going to be running in... Like, if my opponent got Life from the Loam, then I'm going to, like, run into, like, Life from the Loam, Wasteland my Cradle, and then I'm probably just out of this game. We'll make a mom attack here. I've got Scrib Ranger available. Unfortunately, Scrib Ranger can't return that. I can only return a forest. Yikes. Alright, so I don't think I play the Scrib Ranger now. Because, like, I'm going to use both of my mana to pay for the 2 creatures that I have on board, and then I'm going to be attacking for 1. I don't really know how I win from here. This may be a time where I will just go and concede. We're kind of like one more piece of interaction from our opponent away from just being straight dead. And I will concede to a life from the loam. I'm not going to beat the Wasteland lock here. That is unfortunate. So the Hackbird, like, while I'm going to get a guy on the table, like, if I played out the Scrib Ranger, just sort of like in upkeep, I have 3 mana available in the upkeep, right? So I'd use 2 of it to play Scrib Ranger, and then I'd like use 1 to like untap Mom and like bounce Dryad Arbor or something. It doesn't really get me where I need to go, I don't think. Alright, so let's see what I'm going to do against lands. I like Knight of Autumn to blow up like Moxen and random like enchantments that they can have. Tormod's Crypt and Surgical are probably fine. Path to Exile will probably be an upgrade over Swords to Plowshares. And I could, I suppose, consider Chalice of the Void on 2 as a way to like lock out both Punishing Fire and Lobe. Sorry, and Loam. But I think I'm going to have too many 2-drops left in the deck for that to be good. Alright, so Teague, obviously going to be bad. I'll probably go and board out a Swords. Maybe 2. Like, you want to have some answers to Merit Lodge and some answers to Tireless Tracker, but you really don't need to go overboard on answers for them. You're kind of trying to get your opponent dead more so than anything else. B.O.B.? What's B.O.B.? Because I assume that's not like Bob, like Dark Confidant. I assume that stands for something, and I'm just kind of like... Oh, so I think this is like red-green lands rather than like green-black depths. So I don't think we're going to have to worry about Bob. And then I kind of want to cut one more card. I can probably reasonably trim a Thalia. Like, Thalia's okay. Not amazing, but okay. Like, it can stop some of the, like, recursion that the opponents can do. But I don't think I want to, like, board out anything more to, like, play Gideon or Council's Judgment or anything like that. I think that's going to be going too deep. Man, we are not getting good openers in terms of mana here. This is much better. It's not a solid hand. But it's good enough to keep. I don't think I want this Wasteland. I think I want gas. Not that it really matters, because I'm going to use this for a Dryad Arbor anyway, in hopes of just, like, quickly accelerating out into some bomb that I draw. The other thing I want to be able to do is, like, play Knight of Autumn on turn 2 if my opponent plays out, like, a Mox or an Exploration. Fuck this Tabernacle! Ugh! This is so rude. So rude. Yeah, I'm very seriously considering doing that. Like, it doesn't particularly matter this turn, but, like, in future turns, it will. I don't think I'm gonna do it this turn, because I am still just kind of, like, fearing Natural Dark Depths combo. So this is going to be one of those weird moments where, like, we have to decide whether or not we want to play around, like, Wasteland or Ghost Quarter, and we don't get to do both. I think I'm going to play around Wasteland here. Actually, maybe I should get a Savannah so that I have multiple white sources, but I guess I already have another in Horizon Canopy. So Forest is, I guess, fine. We're destroying the Exploration. My opponent discarded Life from the Loam, so they might be going ham soon. Punishing Fire, the Night of Autumn. Well, that's not stellar for me that they have one of those because of this. All right, what did my opponent get back? Foothills and Heath. Yeah, I'm with you. I would not have killed the knight, I don't think. But, like, they had the mana too, and they've got the Grove, and I guess, like, it's not the greatest thing in the world to just not use your mana, so, like, it's probably fine. Like, if they don't have anything else better, maybe that'll get me somewhere. I'm probably going to have to use this Path to Exile like counterspell, in that, like, my opponent might point. All right. Yeah, Pro Red's very good. This might be the point, though, where, like, while my opponent is tapped out and doesn't have access to Punishing Fire, I just, like, Path to Exile and turn this into a land. If I do have another basic, though. So I have Forest, Plains, Plains. I do have another Plains. Because otherwise, like, this line is going to be shut off in later turns. So this decision might be a little loose. Especially considering, like, the Merit Lodge that might be coming from other places. But if I take this line... I said I was going to wait until they, like, paid for one of those, and then I didn't. The reason why this is kind of good is that this will give me 5 mana next turn, which will let me both play Sword and crack Horizon Canopy if I don't draw anything else that I want to do with my mana. Whereas, like, if I just keep the Dryad Arbor, I'm, like, using my mana to pay for that, and, like, I'm effectively going to be at 1 less mana. Alright, they loam back Thicket and Ancient Tomb. So this is tricky. I can play out the Stoneforge and play the Sword. But if I do that, the Stoneforge will just 100% die. So I don't know that I do that, but at the same time, like, my opponent might not be tapping enough mana where I'll, like, ever get to equip the sword with something. So I think I'm probably supposed to start my turn by drawing a card and then playing my sword. Alternatively, I could just end of turn. Nah. Again, Scrib Ranger lines up very poorly against Punishing Fire. All my creatures do. We're going to hope to get one of these with a sword on it. It'll really kind of depend. Nope, we're just going to die. I do not have access to Batterskull. Yeah, Lewin, I'm at 21, but my opponent has 3 Punishing Fires in hand. So, like, you're right, but I'm still very dead. That was a rough one, though. Like, what did we take? 3 or 4 mulligans in 2 games there? We had very bad openers. I don't necessarily feel like the matchup is a disaster or anything. But we were very low on resources. Yikes. D&T with Daze and Geist is special. Oh, sweet. We're playing against Cyrus. We're going to play against Storm. My opponent has mulliganed. I have 2 copies of Gaddock Teague in my hand, and I can play them on turn 2 off of Noble Hierarch, so this is going to be a keep. Cyrus is on a tear, by the way. I think he has, like, 3-0'd 5 leagues, or something crazy like that, in the last, like, literal day. So if we get another turn, then we literally cannot lose game 1. Gaddock Teague is a hard game 1 lock against Storm, unless your opponent is playing something weird in the main deck. And the Hackbird, thank you very much. Teague is a house in this matchup. Yeah, absolutely. I would play lands. I would love to play that deck. Like, it's a combo deck with strong control elements. Like, I'm up on that sort of thing. All right, let's see if he can just, like, rit ad nause perp. Oh god, we're gonna die after our opponent's mulligan. Or is it just a bunch of... Oh, Past in Flames was in hand. Rough. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yikes. Oh, we very dead. We couldn't have asked for a better game 1 hand. Like, literally, our hand was ideal. We lost the die roll, so we lost the match. That's okay. Yeah, great turn 2 from our opponent. Alright, so I'll probably play Chalices. Choke is medium, I'll consider that. Knight of Autumn is medium, I'll consider that. Canonists are fine. Surgical's great. This is great. So I have 6 cards that I want to board in and 3 cards that I'll consider. Let's just kind of figure out what I want to cut. Source of Plowshares are obviously garbage here. I'm not going to have any targets. Jitte's pretty weak. Palace Jailer, too slow, not really removing creatures. That's not where I need to be. So then I'll need to make 2 cuts beyond that. So I could maybe trim a card from the Stoneforge Mystic package, or I could consider like not bringing in the second Knight of Autumn or the second Choke. Conceptually, I thought I liked Knight of Autumn because like my opponent might play out some artifact mana and I get to like snipe something. But maybe that's a little ambitious. Yeah, I can see cutting Scrib Ranger. It's better in the sort of mid-rangey matchups where you have time for it to do its thing. And then I think I either cut a Stoneforge Mystic or a piece of equipment as the last card, or I don't play the second Choke. I think I'll cut a Stoneforge. When I'm on the draw, I might not play Chokes. Well, this is a tough one. Because I have 2 great turn 1 plays. And I have an amazing Hate Bear. However, I don't have a second mana. What are my odds of hitting? Kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, sorry, I have 1 land in hand, so I have 23 lands to hit. I think this is borderline. I think it will extremely reward hitting a land. So we have 23 lands to hit, 21 of which will produce mana. And I really get to slow my opponent down. The kind of unfortunate thing here is that, like, a Thoughtseize will take the Canonist, and it makes the cards that I can play off a top deck a little bit worse. But I think that's okay. Yeah, I think the keep is fine. Like, it's a keep with real risk. But if you're a master, there is no risk involved. Luckily, I am a master. If we win this match... Cyrus sent me a message that says, "Why is my Hercules in the board?" Exclamation point, hashtag punt, exclamation mark, punt. Nice. We get to do things. Oh boy. Cyrus says he's going to post a screenshot on Twitter of his hand. He says Brainstorm is a good card. I guess I should, like, not F6 when I have Tormod's Crypt. I hope Cyrus's hand right now is, like, 6 zero-cost artifacts. And this Chalice is just, like, disgusting. So I'm not 100% sure whether or not it's better to play out the Ooze or the Sword. But I think it's better to play out the Sword. I've kind of got the graveyard covered with Tormod's Crypt already. And I like the idea of putting a layer of protection on one of these creatures. Alright. There goes the Teague. Now, there is still Canonist and Crypt and Chalice on board. Alright. There, more goes the Teague. Alright. Cyrus throws in the towel. Now he knows to bring in the Hercules for our next game here. Maybe we kind of got him with the Chalice tech a little bit. I'm borderline on these chokes on the draw. I think they're very, very slow on the draw. But the thing is that if I take these out, what am I bringing in? Like, Stoneforge and Scribranger and Jitte? None of that stuff's overly impressive to me. So I think I whack the submit button again, accepting that choke's kind of medium. Luinal, that's a great point. Like, the Sword was just going to bring back the Teague, and I was going to get to replay the Teague. That's strong. I have a turn 3 Teague with this hand, but I think that's too slow as far as interaction goes, and I have a lot of mana here. I'm going to go ahead and mull this one. Yikes. This hand is bad. Surgical is a very low power level card in terms of interaction, and the rest of this hand is bad. So I think I ship it again. This hand's great. Keep. Hand's even better. Now we can still get turn 1 or turn 2, but outside of that, we have great tools for the matchup. Like, our hand is effectively Teague, Canonist, Choke, 2 lands, and Thalia. Like, I like where I'm at. This is probably our opponent playing around Chalice rather than, like, them going off. The next thing I need to do is decide whether or not I want to Green Sun or Thalia, or, like, whether or not I just want to play Green Sun now as a mana source, and I think I do, so that I have the potential of going, like Thalia into, like, a Choke or something like that. Yes, we are playing against Cyrus Corman Gill, who is one of the best Ant players. I mean, is there even a question, though? It's probably just the best Ant player at this point. His results are absolutely insane right now. to have the potential to do it, like assuming I draw another land. No, Cyrus. Bad Cyrus. No. So this is 7 mana, 10 mana. The storm count's very low. Yeah, so it has to be an ad nause. We've got to be getting close to the territory where I'm just going to be dead. So Cabal Ritual goes up to 5 mana. Lotus Petals, 6 mana. 2 LEDs sitting on board, plus like Infernal Tutor, Past in Flames. Like we're very, very dead here. Maybe Cyrus is trying to do something sweet with these cantrips. Yeah, I lost this match because I lost the die roll, right? Like both of us played, you know, very optimally, but because I lost that die roll in game 1, I didn't get to deploy that Teague. I just lost, and that's okay. That's fine. But like I felt like I had good hands all 3 games, but Ant is a very, very powerful deck. I mean, the London Mulligan wouldn't have saved me there, right? It's the turn counter. The turn counter being in my favor is what would have mattered there. Oh yeah, absolutely. The 5-card hand was nuts. I'll be keeping this. This hand's very good. Like we have access to cards for a lot of different types of matchup. I don't think the decision's not very interesting for turn 1. You know, I want to be playing Noble Hierarch here, and I'm going to do so off a non-basic, just kind of given the texture of the hand. But what we do the next turn is going to be very dependent on what our opponent leads on. So I'm inclined to think that we're going to be playing against Miracles off a Flooded Strand start, but that's not necessarily true. There's lots of other things that Flooded Strand can indicate, and you can't take a lot of stock out of like what to do with a sort of like single blue fetch land. But what I think I'm going to do is try to tax them out. So my current game plan is to play Thalia. If they have something they want to do in response, that's fine. Yikes! Spell Snare was not something I was expecting. We'll try to Thalia again next turn in all likelihood. This is probably going to be a hand where we hope our opponent is like not Miracles, because a Terminus would probably be devastating to like the way that I want this game to play out. I'm like seeing a Spell Snare, I'm leaning towards my opponent not being Miracles. Ooh, Force Pitching Jace, and then being a Stoneblade deck instead. Third Thalia of the game. Does this one stick? This one sticks. And we're not going to get cheeky and attack with Mom for 2. Our opponent really didn't want this Thalia in play, and so we're going to respect that. Yeah, when I see a snare, I tend to be playing against a Stoneblade deck or a Standstill deck. No, I think Stoneblade and Miracles are very distinct archetypes still. So I'm not too worried about beating Jitte at the moment. Like, I have access to a First Striker, and I have access to Mother of Runes, both of which beat Stoneforge and Jitte. Now, if we start getting into, like, Jitte on Batterskull territory, things can get a little bit scarier. And that is the territory that I'm in. Wow! Wait, did opponent... Alright, opponent floated mana. But, like, I'm gonna get to Nug this Tundra, which is great. I wish I had, like, a removal spell to, like, kill this Stoneforge Mystic in response. That would be so sick. Alright, I'll check out his tweet later. I'm just going to do a quick check of what utility lands I have that I can fetch up. So I have Karakas and Horizon Canopy, no Maze of Ith or anything cute like that. I can actually attack in with Knight as a 4/4 here. And be perfectly safe, because if my opponent blocks with Batterskull, I get to Wasteland them. And then, like, grow Knight to a 5/5, and be in great shape. I'm just going to take a second to think about, like, what I do if my opponent also blocks with Stoneforge. If that happens, I can Wasteland Tundra, hold priority, Wasteland Tundra, and turn Knight into a 6/6 and still be okay. Yeah, that's fine. But I like being cute. Look at me. How could I not like being cute? Let's blow up that Tundra there. And then play an Ooze, which I can grow into a 4/4 at a moment's notice. I guess I should just do that now. Maybe I shouldn't, to some extent, leave up the opportunity to... Okay, so this is Blue-White Delver, not Stoneblade. To, like, leave up the option to go and muck with the Snapcaster Mage. Which is maybe not in my opponent's wheelhouse now. The Delver is actually very threatening. It may not seem like it, but right now I don't have a flyer. And so if the Delver goes and flips, it might just tear apart my whole board. Like, Delver plus Jitte is kind of scary right now. Neat! Neat, 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 neat. Okay. Decision time once again. I can Knight of Autumn destroy the Batterskull right now, or I can save it to nug the Jitte. What happens? I think I can. I can probably just kill my opponent this turn. Knight of Autumn, destroy Batterskull. Attack in with Night Ooze and Thalia. No, it won't be lethal. But it will force at least one chump block from my opponent. If my opponent just, like, blind flips the Delver, will their Jitte actually get them out of their current situation? I don't think so. I'm going to have 2 very large creatures plus 3 smaller creatures. I think I go for it. There's also a real question of like whether or not I was supposed to leave up a green source or the wasteland. I left up the wasteland so that I can like grow the knight to a 5/5 if necessary. Like, say for example, my opponent does not block both knight and ooze, then I have the potential to grow the knight and push more damage through. So I can hit my opponent for 6, or I can hit them for 7. If I hit them for 6, that puts them to 3. And then either Knight or Ooze is lethal. Do I need to, like, wasteland my own wasteland and grow the Knight? I might. So if I hit them to 3 and they gain 4 life, they're at 7. Then if they chump block this and let one of these through, I may not end up with lethal. Depending on, like, kind of how they use Jitte counters. Maybe I'm supposed to, like, push 1 more damage here. Sacrifice wasteland targeting itself. Yes, that is what I want to do. Although, Moto, I do appreciate the prompt there. Yeah, we all knew that was happening. So the annoying world is like blind flip Delver into 4th land. Because that would allow like Delver attack in plus re-equip Jitte to Stoneforge. Like maybe that world is scary. Yeah, that might not make any difference because my plan is to just like whack my opponent and have them dead next turn. Yeah, there we go. That was an interesting one. So we were playing against blue-white Delver. I did not want to go ultra greed deep and wasteland my own Savannah there. Like, there's a world where I might need to cast some more spells in that game. Alright, so I think I like my Path to Exiles to remove Delvers. I like my Knight of Autumns and my Council's Judgments to remove equipment. And I will probably play Choke as well. We'll kind of like see how many slots I have to mess around with, and then make my decisions accordingly. So, don't like Teague. That's going in the way of the dodo. And I look like I'm probably going to be bringing in quite a few non-creature spells. So my Thalias might actually work against me. I might consider cutting those. I think Scavenging Ooze is medium. Sylvan Library on the draw is probably bad. I'm gonna have to think about Palace Jailer. It's scary against a deck that can have like True Name Nemesis, but on the starts where my opponent just like has a Stoneforge or a Delver, this is probably fine. So not 100% sure there. I'll probably keep Scrib Ranger for shenanigans. It's pro blue, which is like great against Delver, and it gives me a flyer to tutor up in case we run into another one of those situations where I need to like stop a Delver with equipment. So is it just like crazy on the draw to remove all of my Thalias to just play gas? I don't think it is. Like if I'm on the play, I'll probably leverage the Thalias a little bit, but on the draw, it seems like I'm going to have enough non-creature stuff where this might work against me. I'm not 100% sure here. Like there's definite decisions to be made on like whether or not like trimming like 2 jailers is better than 2 Thalias, but I think I'm going to run this. And then we'll reevaluate for post sideboard games. Or for a game 3 if we go to 1, rather. Oh, yikes. Openers have been rough tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So I can gum up the board. I have a piece of removal for equipment. But I don't have a path to victory with this hand, and I don't know if I like that. So, like, what am I looking for in an opener? I want acceleration or a piece of removal, and I don't have either. I think this one's a mulligan. I'd be really praying for the top of the deck to deliver. Because my current plan is turn 1 Mom into turn 2 double Mom. I don't think that's good enough. I'll keep this hand. Infinite Noble Hierarchs. What does my hand currently do? My hand currently goes turn 1 Noble Hierarch, turn 2 play Dryad Arbor, play Noble Hierarch and Mom. Turn 3 have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana available, and cast Jitte and equip it. I will accept that. But his hand is not good. This is kind of one of those situations where we hope the hand is good enough, and if like our primary game plan isn't good enough, then we hope Knight of Autumn can like buy us out of a bad Stoneforge Mystic situation. That's a fine draw. Actually, let's play this in the other order. Force, pitch, spell pierce. Yeah, I don't have the matchup experience to know whether or not Triple Mom is good enough. Like if my opponent's on a Delver start, I don't feel like that goes anywhere. If they have a true name, I don't feel like I go anywhere. Echo, it's going well. All right, so I have a Knight of Autumn to answer the Batterskull. That's good. I can Green Sun for a knight and just kind of like flop that onto the battlefield. Is that my best target here? And by that I mean Knight of the Reliquary. I think that's fine. Like, get a knight into play this turn, and then hope to grow it with fetch lands later on. Oh, God, if I could Green Sun Zenith for Jailer, my kingdom for that. So Green Sun lets you only search for a green creature card, unfortunately. Oh, oh my God, I really thought that I clicked on Knight of the Reliquary there, but I didn't. So we are making a 4-3, ladies and gentlemen. Which honestly isn't the worst thing in the world. Like, it can still, like, trade with a Batter Skull, you know, maybe my opponent won't attack with it. But, like, removing that from the deck for later on is devastating. Or my opponent just going... This isn't so bad. So I'm going to get to go... like, Knight of Autumn, blow up Batter Skull, attack in with Noble Hierarch, force the chump block with Stoneforge Mystic, and unless my opponent has Force of Will, I feel pretty great. My opponent has Force of Will, though. Yikes. Alright. Destroy Batterskull. Yeah, the Knight of Autumn, like, misplay from the previous turn actually turning out to be okay. Like, actually better than, like, going and fetching Knight of the Reliquary would have been. Maybe they'll bounce Knight, so I can misclick and blow up my own Jitte, right? So my opponent has active Jace. That's great for them. But I have a very threatening board. Like... who plays Supreme Verdict in their Delver deck? Who does that? That's not stock, right? Like, I shouldn't have, like, at any point been thinking about playing around that. So that was Jace plus on me, put a card on the bottom. Stoneforge for Sword of Fire and Ice. If you brainstorm into Spell Snare, I might lose it. Alright, so we get to go and search up Sword of Fire and Ice, which will be very good against this Jace that's on board. Unfortunately, right now, the chances of going, like, Stoneforge Mystic into equip are pretty abysmal. Like, my opponent is probably going to have, like, an active Jitte here, and everything's a disaster. So I don't really understand their turn, if I'm being, like, honest here. Because I don't know how Stoneforge Mystic equip Jitte attack is a worse line than what they took. Now, obviously, I don't know their hand, but it's kind of where I'm at. It may be that they have, like, Path to Exile or Swords to Plowshares, and when I go to equip this, I'm going to be sad. Yeah. This one's over. I'm going to play it out because, like, there's some worlds where, like, how are you not just, like, going for these Jisei counters? Did you shuffle it away at some point? I have 13 minutes left on the clock. I don't think I need to worry about clock. So I'm going to fire off the Swords to Plowshares on this Stoneforge Mystic, because in case my opponent left a 2-drop on top, I want to be able to go and, like, play a 2-drop and equip it, and not end up in some weird spot. We're looking to rip Council's Judgment to get rid of Jace. And then everything's great except my opponent having 7 cards to my 0 cards. Yikes. Oh, did he take Sophie, not Jitte? I thought I scrolled through and saw Jitte. Maybe I looked too far. Okay, yeah, they did take Sword of Fire and Ice. Alright, my bad. I take back some of the commentary. Alright, so they put this on top of Library, which just means it's going to get countered in some capacity. Or is Jace already at ultimate levels? Yeah, Jace is at 13. Alright. Let's play this one out, see what happens. Let's just make sure my opponent doesn't forget how to count. Alright, so my opponent's Delver deck has Supreme Verdict in it. So what does that mean for me, if anything? If my opponent is going away from the Delver plan and is just, like, boarded into a control deck, then, like, bringing in some fat like Gideon is good, but it's just, like, terrible against the Delver side of the equation. I think I've already got a good set of tools for the more controlling aspect in Choke, Council Judgment, Palace Jailer, and the Swords. So I think when I'm on the play, I want to, like, ram a couple of Thalias into the deck list. Maybe I'll cut a Scrib Ranger to do that. You bring in the walkers. So should I just, like, ignore the Thalia plan and, like, just bring in the fat? Because, like, if I board the way that I am now, I'm a little worried that I'm too heavy on the removal. Or maybe I'm not supposed to play Path. Cut 2 green suns, okay. That's reasonable. And then I slip 1 Thalia back in. No Path. No Path, 2 Thalia. Okay. 3 Thalia. So what does this look like curve-wise? I'm a little heavy, but, like, I do have a lot of mana, so it's probably fine. Well, I don't have removal, but I have turn 2 Thalia when I'm on the play, as well as Choke and Knights. So I'll be keeping this. So I foresee myself wanting basics this game. But I'm just going to lead on basic planes to represent turn 1 removal. In before my opponent also has Stifle in their deck. So the unfortunate thing is that, like, if the Thalia resolves, I don't get to just, like, slam Choke next turn and be a happy boy. But that's fine. Like, if I get to lead, like, Thalia into Knight into Choke, or Thalia Knight into Knight, like, that's all fine with me, right? Opponent having days in their Jace Brainstorm deck. Or sorry, their Jace Supreme Verdict deck is what I meant to say. I really dislike the deck building of this. So I can play Choke into a second daze here. But if it resolves, I'm so far ahead on mana. So I'm going for it. Like, if my opponent has a daze, or they have force, it's okay. Ah, Snapcaster in there too. Jete solid here. Knights are currently big. They can get bigger. They can get, like, very much bigger, actually. But I don't expect this first one to stick around. I think I'm going to be okay with tapping the Wasteland so I don't take 1 off of Horizon Canopy. And let's go and play an 0-1 into a Supreme Verdict. The kind of cool thing here is that, like, on my turn, my opponent is going to be expecting, like, 1 damage when I'm really going to have, like, Jitte equipped, go, 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 go. Or I can just put another threat onto the table, which might be better to do, and just attack Jace for 1. My opponent is forced to just go and bounce the knight. That's stellar for me. They're choosing to bring in Storm. They don't necessarily need to answer both of my creatures. Like, Noble Hierarch only attacks for 1, so Jace is safe for another turn. Yeah, there we go. I feel like this match has just been my opponent having the right card for every single situation. Magically. Like, Daze for Thalia into Force for Choke, into Double Swords to Plowshares, into Jace, into Verdict, into Spell Pierce for Jitte, because I, like, chose to do it in... Or I guess I couldn't have... No, I could have played around Pierce by playing the Jitte prior to the Mom, but I wasn't thinking about Spell Pierce, if I'm being, like, just totally honest here. Like, my thought was, like, if my opponent has access to Jace and is, like, brainstorming stuff away, like, Spell Pierce should be gone at this stage of the game, but nope. Alright, so opponent has access to Batterskull. My life is bad. Still not unwinnable by any stretch of the imagination, but slipping away quickly. I don't know that I agree with that brainstorm. I feel like my opponent is in the situation where if they keep me off of anything for 1 more turn, the game's over. This is an active mom. Do you know my mom is active? I don't know that you do. I think you've already played a land, yeah. Yeah, I agree. After they brainstorm with Jace, my thought was, like, that would be their line next turn. So we'll keep this Swords to Plowshares so that whatever creature has equipment, we can nug. Because I do need to, like, be worried about the line of, like, Jace, try to bounce, then try to get Jitte counters. But my opponent will probably have, like... What is going on with this Jace Brainstorm stuff? I don't really get it. I feel like I'm just, like, so dead to other lines. Yeah, so we let that happen. My opponent attacks in with 2 creatures. I don't think it matters too much which one I remove. I'll block this one. Remember what I said about my opponent, like, having the perfects all the time this game? I stick with that. So, like, recapping this league, I lost against lands, largely just due to a set of very poor mulligans. I lost against Cyrus because I lost the die roll. And then I feel like my opponent made a bunch of play errors. And I think their deck building's loose. But we lost that one too. Like, I don't feel like this deck is bad, but we're 0-3. It's a little bit of a blow to morale, but it's fine. Like, I'm gonna dump on the blue-white Delver deck a little bit more. I really hate that deck. I think in Legacy, you need to pick something and you need to be the best deck at doing it. Some people really speak to, like, the strengths of blue-white Delver being able to be flexible, but I think the deck just trips over itself too much. I think there's a lot of negative synergy in the deck, and I think you limit your own lines too much. Yeah, I 100% accept that I am on the wrong side of variance tonight. Like, I don't think this deck is bad. I think I have just ran into some very unfortunate situations that were largely outside of my control, and that's okay. I don't love this opening hand. I don't really have a payoff card for my mana. And, like, my current line is, like, play a Noble Hierarch, have a Scrib Ranger, can untap Noble Hierarch. I guess I have a removal spell if my opponent is a creature deck. My opponent was last seen on Reanimator in 2017. I'm not going to take any stock into that. I think I keep this hand on the draw when I get an extra card to improve it. But I'm going to really be hoping that my best line this game isn't going to be like Horizon Canopy as land for turn, draw a card, hope to get into something. All right, Sylvan Safekeeper. So it looks like we're going to be playing against a Depths deck. Do I need to eliminate this safekeeper this turn? Probably not. I can probably wait a turn in order to like play Noble Hierarch this turn so that I can do another Noble Hierarch plus Swords to Plowshares next turn. That's probably a perfectly safe line. I am going to do this off of Verdant Catacombs. I want to start preemptively putting lands in my graveyard so that if I get a knight, it's big. Conceptually, I really like the Chalice in Maverick. Bob. Well, we'll point a Swords to Plowshares at that and see where we go. But that's most certainly getting protected. It is worth a land. Ooh. This is going to be very good against the current board. So I can't actually like Jitane connect this turn. Like I can use 2 mana, play Scrib Ranger, return a forest, untap Noble Hierarch, play another mana, have 2 more mana. I'm not sure whether or not that's actually better than other things that I can be doing. I guess if I put the Scrib Ranger in this turn, it does mean that I will connect with a sword next turn. Although, I guess I am anyway, unless my opponent plays Vampire Hexmage. But I guess I should play around that. Alright, so before I give my opponent any more information, let's try to Swords Dark Confidant and see if that works. I assume the answer is no, that doesn't work. Oh, it does work. Neat. Alright. And I'm going to kind of be giving up the surprise here of Scrib Ranger, but that's fine. So we go Scrib Ranger. Untap this. Return a forest. Tap this. Play a Noble Hierarch. And then pass the turn. So next turn we have like play land, cast Jitte, equip Jitte, swing in with Scrib Ranger for 3 damage and 2 Jitte counters. Then in future turns, we can leave the Scrib Ranger back as insulation from a Merit Lodge hit. So I'm thinking about this wasteland. I don't think I care too much about this wasteland. So I can go forest, cast Jitte, equip Jitte, I'll untap this creature, return the Savannah so I can't be wastelanded at a weird time. Tap Hierarch, play Hierarch. Now I get to be attacking for a whopping 4 with this Scrib Ranger. We have to yield to a lot of Noble Hierarch triggers, which I am game for. So now I have a decision to make. If I nug the Sylvan Safekeeper, my opponent probably just lets it die. With Jitte counters, I can go up only to 20, but if I don't use any Jitte counters, I can go to 22. But my opponent might be playing towards making a Duder with protection, in which case I can disrupt that. So I think I need to put some fear in them. And potentially set them back. Hopefully by playing out this card, I incentivize my opponent to like spend a turn like thought seizing me or something. But I've not succeeded in that regard. Man, I have so many lands. So in order to not die, I'm going to need to move a Jitte over to a Noble Hierarch. And then I can like either chump block with Scrib Ranger or just gain some life with Jitte. Should probably represent both. Let's Horizon Canopy. Figure out what I can draw this turn. Hopefully something that does something. Gaddock, not quite what I'm looking for here. So let's move, equip this to a Hierarch. Produce some mana. And now we bash. The hope here is that our opponent does not block. They probably should not block because like doing so might open them up to some main phase effect. But we might see them do it anyway. I've already played a land, right? Yes, I've already played a land. So now we'll just go ahead and pass the turn. We've got 2 layers of insulation here. We have one block turn, and we have 1 Jitte gain life turn. I think it's correct to Jitte gain life first. Alright, so we go up to 22. We can take 20. That's fine. Not sentences you get to utter a lot. But it is what it is. Library's disgusting. It means that if I do top deck an answer to this Merit Lodge, then my opponent can just go and play something like just play another Dark Depths that they find off of library. So life's a little scary. Knight of the Reliquary would be bonkers. I have Caracas to search up, and I have the time to do so. Thalia, not stellar. Not terrible, but not stellar. Unfortunately, like, playing out the Thalia means that I don't get to, like, get more Jitte counters. I guess I could, like, Scrib Ranger. Is that fine, though? So Scrib Ranger is going to be blocking. So I guess I can go equip to Scrib Ranger, attack in, then on their turn, untap my Scrib Ranger, bouncing a forest. Then I can block again, get more Jitte counters, and maybe try to, like, aggro this game out. I like it. It might realistically work. I'm representing a ton of damage. Especially if my opponent takes some off the Sylvan Library, thinking they're safe. So, like, Thalia alone is attacking for 4. I'm going to have 5 Jitte counters, so... Oh, that is 14, isn't it? That is just death. Fuck. So a Wasteland would be a sick top deck. So let's untap this. Return this. Block this. This is a great game to demonstrate the power of Maverick, right? Like, we are in a really bad situation, and we're still kind of fighting through it. This is so close to, like, literally what I need. But opponent having the second Dark Depths there is just, like, devastating. So I can gain 10 life. Ugh. I only have access to 4 mana. If I had 6, I could go Jitte equip, and then, like, post-combat Thalia. So I guess I have to go for this kill here and hope my opponent can't count. You can also hope that they misclick their Merit Lodge. That's another out. Fortunately, Merit Lodge indestructible, so I can't just throw Thalia into a super hyper monster machine. So now we'll pass the turn with mana up. Maybe they won't attack. We were so close that one. We were so close. A little disappointed with that loss, I'm not going to lie. Alright. I like Path. Knight of Autumn's probably fine for things like Sylvan Library and Pithing Needles. My opponent was just telling me that they want to get some reps in, even though they're dead for prizes, which I appreciate. All right, but continuing on. So I want Path, I want Knight. I don't necessarily know that I'll want to go like Council's Judgment deep as far as removal goes. But I might. I'll kind of see what my slots are looking like. And I probably have enough access to Wasteland that, like, ripping Dark Depths out of the deck is probably good. Let's figure out what I don't like. So I don't like Teague. Jitte is probably medium. Sword of Fire and Ice is probably medium. I guess Jitte is better because opponent has small things that I might need to pick off, like Bob and Vampire Hexmage. But I kind of like trimming a piece of equipment. Ooze is pretty bad. I don't usually like expect my opponents to like necessarily have Loam all the time. Like they do in some matches. But a lot of times with Green Sun, I really want to be getting Knight, not Ooze. And then I probably just trim one other card and call it good. Not 100% sure what that's supposed to be. Maybe the second Night of Autumn is too much. Because I kind of like everything else. I think it's either like, don't board in the second Night of Autumn, or trim another piece of the Stoneforge package. Alright, what does this hand do? So this goes Savannah, Mom, into turn 2 have 3 mana, or no, turn 2 just have 2 mana. I can Stoneforge, and then I can go into Knight. I have a removal spell for an early Merit Lodge. Mana's a little shaky, but I think I keep. Like, the Guy's Cradle is going to do a lot of work over the course of a long game. Now, if our opponent just goes, you know, turn 2 Depths, Hexmage, derp, like, so be it. Guy's Cradle will make black mana, even if I lose my creatures somehow. So that's a plus. And I will be taking the pot shots with Mom here. Not necessarily expecting my opponent to have things like Fatal Push that are like 1 mana removal. And if my opponent trades a 1 mana removal spell for my Thalia, don't do it. Don't do it. This is a cursed league. We had no chance. The Fates just said, nope, you don't get to do anything here. And I think they're probably supposed to do it on their turn in order to, like, play around a top deck Wasteland. Because I can't... I guess I could go land Council's Judgment, and that would punish. So as to not die, I need to act like I have something, because if my opponent just goes for it here, I die. Nice. Still in the game. Yikes. Alright. Everything's awful. I can't beat the combo. I can't ever... Holy shit. Do it. Do it. Do it. Ah. So I can't beat the combo, and I probably can't beat Bob. Alright. I get to buy time. So I can tap out for this safely. Yeah, Scrib Ranger plus... Oh, this is ideal. Holy cow, this is great. So my opponent's actually going down on a land here. Maybe they're not sure what I'm going to get. This means the Thalia tax is going to hit them hard. And Scrib Ranger plus Mom means that, like, I am safe in terms of the combo. Now, if they just go, like, land right of consumption, whatever. I'm just, like, used to the beating that I'm taking this league. Sylvan Library. That is a good card to just jam. Current win condition is my opponent's Bob plus Thalia as clock. I don't necessarily know that, like, this attack is even correct. Because, like, I'm very obviously going to block and protect, and it means they don't have an indestructible 20/20 to hold back as a blocker. If they have a removal spell, that, like, doesn't even do it, because I just get to, like, Scrib Ranger, untap the Mom, and go about doing my sweet things. I guess they could use the... No, like, even if they point it somewhere else, Scrib Ranger still untaps Mom. Alright. So, here's one thing. The combination of Sylvan Library plus Bob means that after this turn, they're not really taking damage off the Bob anymore. But I'm going to have Knight of the Reliquary. So, things are actually okay. So let's go land. 1, 2. Play Stoneforge. Get Jitte so I can pick off these small threats, and then play out Knight. I think this is just better than, like, trying to go aggro and, like, try to equip the sword this turn. What I'm doing will give them a 1-turn window to find Sajiri's Step. But I think that's fine, because the upside of this play is essentially that, like, next turn I will get to both Jitte, kill both of their creatures, Knight of the Reliquary, destroy their Merit Lodge, and I don't think they can possibly win after that. So there's some degree of risk with the line that I took, and so it may not be correct. But, like, So I wouldn't have these in play, so I would have been able to produce 6 mana. So, like, that would have been my entire turn, is just, like, sword and equip. And I don't think that gets me far enough ahead. Like, it will leave me not dead to Sajiri Step, but I don't think that's working towards winning. Yeah, but I have Scrib Ranger on board. So is this just a bait? And my opponent has a black piece of removal? I think I just let that go. The two choices are let it go or activate Mom, targeting Scrib Ranger, give it pro black, then untap, and move forward from there. Alright, no attack from our opponent. Life is good. Ooh, buddy. Okay, so I probably need to count out my mana per turn. So I have 5, 6, 7 mana. I think I want to start by eliminating Merit Lodge, because, like, that's happening 100% no matter what. So let's float a white. Activate this. Safekeeper does protect. I've done this in a poor order. So I can go... Alright, so let's think about my mana. So I probably want to go, like... I can go Plow, Safekeeper, force them to sack a land in order to keep it around. That's 2 mana. Then I can go, like, try to bounce this. Okay. Alright, I need to just tap this. Alright, so total, I have 6, 7 mana. 4 to 5 of that will be for Jitte Equip. 2 of that will be Swords to Plowshares, and then I have Caracas up as well. So I can tap the Stoneforge to save me a mana. So we're just kind of trying to, like, Stone Rain the opponent into oblivion here. Alright. So let's start with this. It just occurs? Alright. Let's try this. Oh. Well, this turn was significantly easier than I thought it was going to be. Fine with trading the Stoneforge body for Mom, or for a Dark Confidant if they want to do that, by the way. Because, like, I've got Sword of Light and Shadow in hand. Abrupt Decay on the Jitte. Well, that's fine. Not a lot I can do about that. So I kind of want to Knight again, but I can't, right? Like, I can return a forest to untap the Knight, but then I don't have a forest to sacrifice. So I just have to pass the turn here. We have done a lot of damage to my opponent, though. Wasteland, very good on their side of the table. Getting rid of my Gaia's Cradle means I can't go ham. Getting rid of the Caracas means that, like, I don't have another quick out to a Merit Lodge, and I have to start holding the Scrib Ranger back again. But my opponent will probably just be dead to attacks in 2 turns. Alright. The Caracas is going away. So they're going to try to set up for a Merit Lodge situation. Ooh, another Bob. Okay. So I have 5, 6, potentially like 7 mana. I think I just have my opponent dead, right? Like, equip sword to Knight of the Relative Quarry and just, like, kill them. Like, they're at 10, they can't cast any spells due to Thalia. Like, Knight with sword plus protected Thalia is just lethal. So this is 6, so it's 4 and 2, so that's enough. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, if someone ever asks you, like, do you concede until you're dead? That's a great example of, like, why you say, no, I don't. Because that was a game that I was 100% dead on board if my opponent tried to kill me. And they didn't, and we got away with murder that time. All right, when I'm on the draw, I might want to have one more answer to, like, Sylvan Library, just in case my opponent tries to ram one of those out quickly. What would I remove for that, though? I'm not entirely sure. Stoneforge? I can see a Stoneforge. Mtesm, thank you very much for your continued support. You are on to 11 months now. That's crazy. Starting to feel like an old man with all these followers. Feels good. Again with the awkward hands. I don't have a way to cast these Noble Hierarchs. But I have, like, Caracas and Wasteland and double swords? Ugh. I'm gonna keep it. It's probably gonna be good. But I might have 3 dead cards for the beginning of the game. My opponent has mulliganed. Good news for me. Like, our hand's a little bit awkward. So if they stumble a little bit in the opening turns, it'll be great. I don't think I just want to, like, wasteland this Bayou into crop rotations. So I think I'm just going to play a wasteland and pass. If my opponent goes and plays out a Bob or equivalent on their turn, I think I'm fine with that. If they tap out for, like, a Vampire Hexmage or a Bob or something, I get to go Swords it, Wasteland you once if I want. Vampire Hexmage is fine. So I get a choice. I can just, like, plow the Hexmage and Wasteland once. I can plow the Hexmage and sit on a waste. Or I can double Wasteland them, knowing that I can just beat what they have with Caracas. And I'm not sure what line I'm supposed to take, if I'm being completely honest. So if I go double waste them and they go, like, Depths, Hexmage, make it, I get it with Caracas. Or if they wait and they don't do it immediately, then if my opponent wastelands it, I float white, they go to a different phase, and then I might lose. So this game's interesting. I think I'm going to try to play this one patiently. And I'll remove the Hexmage. And sit on this Wasteland. So I'm not going to try to mana screw my opponent anymore. I'm going to try to answer their threats or keep them from producing the Merit Lodge in the first place. Frickin' library. So good. Well, that makes me very happy that I didn't just, like, go on the double Wasteland plan, because, like, they had library plus another land sort of queued up already. Alright, so now I get to play a Mom, and I can start producing green mana. So, like, we get a Hierarch in play, and, like, this means that, like, mana is no longer going to be a limiting resource for me, which is great. So I'll be able to get either a Knight of the Reliquary or the Scrib Ranger and go from here. The Holy Batman, thank you for throwing your Twitch Prime money this way for a second month in a row. I really appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying this game. I think this is a very interesting game. I'm not sure that I've played it optimally, but we did get some sick bluffs. All right, duress. So opponent gets to see what's going on, and I'll probably lose my green sun, but we're still sitting on like multiple layers of protection, right? So like, I'm still going to have a Swords to Plowshares and a Caracas and a Wasteland. It's very unlikely that I will get comboed out in the immediate future. Hoping to be able to pressure my opponent's life total enough that I can stop them from drawing more cards with Sylvan Library, and Sylvan Library just becomes like sort of a Scry 3 effect. Bob. Bob's not bad. Bob plus Library is a great combo. I respect it a lot. Thalia is pretty good here. So this might be a turn to, like, turn the corner. So if I go Hierarch, this might be a turn where I just, like, go double Wasteland you, play Thalia, and, like, let's go to the races. So I can go, like, play Hierarch off of Noble. That's 3 creatures in play. Play Thalia. Have Knight as a follow-up on the next turn. Oh, I don't have a lot of time to think about this. All right. Let's play out some stuff. All right. So let's go play out Noble Hierarch. That's going to happen no matter what. Actually, what if I play Thalia now? I can play Thalia for 2 mana. All right, so what if I play Green Sun? So I go 3 mana, Green Sun, 4 mana, Green Sun, get Knight. All right. So let's cast this for 3. Knight of the Reliquary and Knight of Autumn look too similar when this is small. All right, so let's get a Knight of the Reliquary. Let's get a Thalia. Can safely attack in with Mom as a 3/3 here, and then pass the turn. So essentially, what I've done is I've queued up the Wasteland machine for if I go and get a non-basic. All right, opponent has a crop rotation. That's fine. Crop rotation can answer Caracas. But I don't think my opponent can, like, both answer the Caracas and go off in this turn cycle. In which case, like, I have a lot of tools available. So what could beat me? 2 mana crop rotation can get a Wasteland. All right, so if my opponent plays Urborg, they have 4 mana. No, like they can't like Urborg and Dark Depths in order to cheat on mana here. Sure, does a Toxic Deluge beat me though? Like if opponent deluges for 2, I still have double Wasteland plus Caracas on board. Like it would be a great play, but it keeps them pretty far away from winning. I also 100% do not expect to time out this game. Like I have a 4 damage a turn clock right now, and it can potentially be much larger than that. don't think I want to spend too much time thinking about this. I think I'm just going to send the Knight of the Reliquary in and see what happens. So I can turn this into 8 damage here, but I don't think I want to do that. I think I just accept the hit for 4. We're going to be super mana inefficient this turn. And, like, waste 3 mana. But I think that's okay. Like, I don't want to tap the Wasteland or the Caracas here. Yeah, but I could do sweet things with green mana, like, say, activate a Chalice and put counters on all my creatures. All right, what is Thespian Stage targeting? Thespian Stage is targeting Wasteland. I don't think I want that to happen. So let's blow that up. Opponent can't, like, crop rotation here. They don't have another mana. All right, there's a Depths. So opponent would need what combination of cards to live? Like Depths plus Hex Mage plus crop rotation isn't good enough, right? Because I have, like, Wasteland and Caracas. All right. What if my opponent has multiple Abrupt Decays? Either one of my Knights alone is lethal. So I don't need to worry about that. Or no. Yeah. Either one of my Knights is lethal if I Wasteland my own Gaia's Cradle. I don't think I need to hold back multiple Wastelands. What if my opponent has double crop rotation? They can crop rotation for Depths, make 2 mana, crop rotation for Stage, not do it? Yeah. Kind of curious what my opponent has. Okay. I'm still presenting lethal damage, so I do not need to take any actions. We'll let them make the first move. Assassin's Trophy on a Knight. I will protect. Lost my window. All right. There we go. See, that's what I expected this deck to do, right? Like this is what I registered this deck list for tonight, was to do things like that. All right, I got one match left here. We're going to go ahead and play it out. I'm going to take 30 seconds to run to the bathroom, though, and top off my water in case this one goes long. So I will be right back. All right, let's go into our final round. In case you weren't here for my introduction, hello, my name is Phil Gallagher. I run ThrabenU University, a site for legacy, death, and taxes. Tonight we're playing with some green-white Maverick. The league hasn't gone well, but I think the deck is good. Again, quick recap. We lost to lands due to some very bad mulligans. We didn't have colored mana. You know, so it goes. We lost to Cyrus because we lost the die roll. Cyrus is great. We lost to blue-white Delver. I think the opponent made some questionable decisions, and I think that deck is questionable as well. But kind of so it goes. And then we had a very, very interesting match versus Depths. I really enjoyed that one. And yes, I did tell my opponent to watch the video, and I told them where they could find it. They were doing some prep for a tournament, and they wanted the reps. And I wonder how they're going to feel when they realize that they lost that game to a bluff. I hope they get a good kick out of it. This is kind of like the thread I saw on Reddit today, where people were like, how do you cast spells into Chalice? You just, like, have to act with confidence. Can't let the weakness show. They'll eat you alive. Hondo Trigger, that is, like, the funniest thing I have heard all day. Thank you for that. I recognize my opponent's username. I know I've played them before. I'll be keeping this hand. Like many of the other hands that I've kept tonight, it's questionable. But we have a lot of lands to draw into if, you know, this Noble Hierarch doesn't make it around the table. Otherwise, we've got, like, Sylvan Library as a absolutely stellar backup plan to improve the quality of this hand. Mmm. Alright. We have Sylvan Library and 2 mana sources. Our opponent has nothing, and they're probably playing a fair blue deck. I like this world. This is what I wanted to do. This is what I came for. Holy cow! This is sweet. I'm really tempted to just take 8. Like, because then I get to go Green Sun for Dryad Arbor, play Mom, and then have, like... Alright, maybe I don't need to take the Mom. I already have 1. Maybe that's too ambitious. Yeah, I came to that same decision. Yeah, and I think it's correct to play the Thalia next turn, not this turn, so that I can develop my mana more. This also gives me a shuffle, and makes it more likely that I can go and find a land to continue producing my mana and let the Sylvan Library just do its thing. I would not be too surprised to see a concession before too long. Forest. Allurin? Was this the opponent I had that, like, giant long Allurin match against the other day? Abrupt Decay the Mom. That's fine. Sylvan Library lives on. Alright, so what's my turn like? So I have 3 mana currently. I'm going to want to play Thalia this turn. So I can play Thalia and Mom. And then probably just put 2 cards back and not take any more damage. The lands look like Allurin. Whatever deck they're playing, they really care about these Moms. So maybe it's just like a bug control deck. I also stopped auto-yielding to my Sylvan Library out of, like, fear of the, like, a Leovold coming down and me forgetting about that. Alright. So, do I want this Green Sun this turn? I can only Green Sun for 1 right now, which just gets a Noble Hierarch, so that's not really good. So this turn is probably play Noble Hierarch and Scrib Ranger. So let's put this back on top. Put this back on top. Play out a Noble Hierarch. Actually, maybe the Scrib Ranger isn't essential yet. Maybe I'm supposed to just play the Teague. In case my opponent is Allurin. The Teague adds to my clock, whereas Scrib Ranger doesn't. This will, like, even if my opponent isn't Allurin, this will, like, prevent, like, Jace or Force of Will from being something that I have to care about. Alright, so this was the fear, right? Okay, so I can't even activate this. That's cool. It's nice. Unfortunately, playing out the Teague does mean that I can't cast this Green Sun now. So I guess I'm just going to be, like, playing out a sword. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4 mana. I can play out the sword and really put the screws on my opponent. Well, I can't really Suicide Teague, right? I guess, like, I have Exalted things to worry about. I guess if I attack with Thalia and Teague, but then I'm throwing away the Thalia. Between the library and the Horizon Canopy, though, I am taking a lot of damage. I don't think my opponent is going to have the luxury of just, like, turning their Leovold sideways and getting in there. But who knows what happens if they, like, just, like, drop a Baleful Strix. I guess that, no. I guess, like, Sword of Fire and Ice still is just terrifying. I mean, yeah, I don't have land, but I have 3 mana producers, right? I probably want to tap these 2 to do this. So let's equip this to the Thalia. All right. So let's have a weird discussion. What am I supposed to do with this sword? I think I'm supposed to shoot my own Thalia. It means my opponent doesn't draw an extra card, my clock's not changing, and my opponent just concedes before I make the decision. But I think the correct line there is to, like, shoot my own Thalia. Man, I really would not have revealed my hand to this game, because I still didn't know what you were on, and now I kind of get the confirmation that it's just like a bug mid-range deck rather than something like Alurin, and that's very important information for me. All right. So, Council Judgment will answer the Planeswalkers and True Names. Choke is going to be fantastic. Gideon is going to be a great endgame threat. Knight of Autumn for Sylvan Libraries is something that I'll consider as well. I don't know how many of those my opponent is going to have. I probably just want 1 Knight of Autumn, though, so I'm going to leave the second in the sideboard. What don't I want? Let's start there. I don't think I want Teague. I have mixed feelings on Palace Jailer. I probably don't want Ooze. Like, Palace Jailer is going to be, like, awesome if I am ahead or we're at even, but if I fall behind, like, just losing the Monarchy to just something stupid like a Baleful Strix is probably problematic. So I'm probably supposed to trim some number of these. maybe not all of them, but I think I want to trim at least 2. My opponent isn't going to have that many targets that I really want to answer with the Swords to Plowshares. And I'm going to kind of hope that like my equipment can help me deal with the Baleful Strix, or like First Strike can. Maybe I'll trim a Thalia and trim a Jailer. I'll trim a Jailer. I'll reevaluate whether or not I want any Jailers or both Jailers when I get a better feel for my opponent's deck list. All right, so my opponent has mulliganed. I will keep a hand with a Planeswalker. Turn 3 Planeswalker sounds like a great place to be. Trimming Thalia when you're on the draw is totally defensible in my opinion. Captain Gouda, I'm glad you're enjoying the YouTube content, and I'm more glad that you're getting a chance to catch me live, because I know that's just sort of a fun experience. Unfortunately, you're coming in on round 5 here. All right, him takes 2 of our lands. That's okay. Like, as long as I keep the Gideon in this exchange, everything's fine. This would be a real rough turn to get Toxic Deluged. I would lose out a lot from that. When I'm on the play, I'll put that Thalia back in the deck. But sometimes when you're sort of under the gun, and especially when you're keep the Gideon, keep it. Fuck. That was bad. That was good. Like, unfortunately, we're only going to get one of these 2 lands here. But if our opponent doesn't have an Abrupt Decay effect immediately, this might be big game. Unfortunately, you know, they probably have 4 to maybe 5 Abrupt Decay effects split between Decay and Assassin's Trophy. So I'm not under any illusions that this is going to stick around. And no, I don't think you're supposed to get Arbor. I think I want to have access to double white if my opponent has a sweeper, because Council's Judgment will be my out to something like Jace. Marsh Casualties. Yeah, there we go. I want a threat in play, so I'll play this. I would really prefer to cast this for 1 more mana. Oh no, I blurred out my ooze. I really wanted that ooze. So opponent will have mana all game to cast an Abrupt Decay, so I won't take them off of that. So as soon as they have one, they can take this choke off the battlefield. But the prospect of casting a cantrip probably doesn't feel too great right now. What does feel great is Knight of the Reliquary plus Scrib Ranger in the face of 2 wastelandable non-islands. That feels great. I'm not sure if Ooze needs to come back for game 3. Like, I wanted it there. I wanted it in that spot. But that's because we're in, like, the post-sweeper world. So let's kind of see where we end up in the next turn cycle here. All right. Trophy the Knight. That's a little sad, but we'll get a land out of it. Nice. I want to do something that might be a little ridiculous here. I'm going to play around Daze. I don't think it's in my opponent's deck, but I'm going to play around it. Because it is absolutely free to do so. Build good habits, folks. Knight of the Reliquary. Knight of the Reliquary will probably just be a death machine if it makes it around the table. Jeez, Pernicious Deed is rough. But I am going to get to whack my opponent for a large number. So I can activate Knight, fetch a land, use Scrib Ranger to untap it, and then attack in with both. So I can't produce lethal in any way this turn, even by putting 2 or 3 lands into the graveyard. I can hit for 9 with the Knight, 10 total with Scrib Ranger, but it's not lethal this turn, so it's probably just better to fetch Horizon Canopy and get a card out of this. So let's go white. Sack my basic here. So terrified of misclicking because it's so small. Get Horizon Canopy. Sack Horizon Canopy to draw a card. Dryad Arbor. That will get eaten up by Deed, so we're not going to play that. So let's float a green. Untap Knight. Return a forest. Play a forest. Lose the mana. Crash in for 9. My opponent will be at 3 life after they wipe these off the table. Oof. Oof. My clock. My clock. And I don't think there's a world there where I'm supposed to, like, sword my knight to gain a bunch of life. Then my opponent won't just, like, crack the Deed this turn, potentially. And I want them to crack the Deed. Like, I can't have that sitting there all game and, like, live in fear of it. More traditionally called Maverick, but yeah, that's exactly what's happening. We don't use the word Celestia on this channel. Except for that, like, mockery I just did of the word Celestia, which uses the word Celestia. And then the following description in which I talk about the word Celestia. Go, little buddy! Alright. We have shut off a fetch land. We're going to attack the bayou here. Because if I get a choke down, I want to get rid of the non-island lands, and I can't take my opponent off of, like, a Jace or equivalent. I feel so smart. Again, I guess I should play around days. But I guess I don't need to. Like, I should rather have them expend their resources answering the Noble Hierarch so they don't die. And then play the choke on an empty board. Fuck! I'm so punished! Well, I feel like a genius for playing around days in earlier matches. Alright, I already used the Scrib Ranger, right? That's already gone. And the Teague is in the board, right? Teague is in the board, which means I just want to cast this for one to play around yet another days, I guess. I think the opponent is playing a weird bug mid-range deck. I don't think they're actually a Delver deck. I don't think I want to trade Hierarch for Strix here. It kind of leaves me with nothing. I'm going to Wasteland the Bayou. That takes them off of green mana. They can't actually use this fetch. Yeah, Ooze is in the board right now. Which I'm still not entirely sure whether or not it should be there. Is my opponent delving? Oh, EE. Okay. Alright, I just died to that Tarmogoyf. That's super unfortunate. We'll be going to Game 3, Needle on Faithless. Alright, so given what I saw, I think I like another Jailer. My opponent seems relatively threat-light. Ooze is something I should consider, and Fourth Thalia is something that I should consider. But I've kind of got to let something give somewhere here. I think I should probably board out my swords. Like, I saw Tarmogoyf, but I think my plan for beating Tarmogoyf is either be bigger than it, chump it forever, or remove it with Jailer. Like, I think those are potentially better lines than just, like, having a couple of random swords in there. Like, I don't really want to be swordsing Baleful Strix, for example. Jitte is definitely the piece of equipment that I'd want to find the least. No, Solas is great against Baleful Strix. I think Thalia is medium on the draw. I think Thalia is good on the play, right? Like, our opponent is a, like, Cantrip, Daze, Jace, Marsh Casualties, him deck. Like, Thalia is has great stopping power. So I think I'm going to board like this and be threat heavy, answer light. It's also possible that I should get rid of the Knight of Autumn and just play one Swords to Plowshares. I'm not sure. Like, I saw one Sylvan Library in game 1. I don't know how many there actually are. Ooh, I guess Knight of Autumn does answer Deed. Yeah, maybe I don't trim that. But at the same time, I don't think I board in another one. Sure, I risk losing to Goyf. That's fine. When did my opponent find a Goyf that game? Like turn 15? Something crazy like that? I think that's okay. It doesn't matter where I put that. Either way, I'm shuffling on turn 1. I'm going to grab basics here because I'm kind of mana light with this hand, and I don't know if my opponent has Wasteland in their deck too. We have some awkwardness with like the Green Sun Zenith, Thalia, Nanbo, but I think that's okay. I don't know that I'm going to commit another card to the board until my opponent answers what's already here anyway. Dale's of Dawn, I'm with you. Drawing that knight makes me uncomfortable. I'm jamming it. But like if I drew some mid-rangey, like slightly smaller creature, like if I drew a Scavenging Ooze, I don't really know that I'd commit that to the board. Like I'm still a turn away from Toxic Deluge and a turn away from like Pernicious Deed being played out the first time, so it's probably okay. But I'm a little worried about playing into a sweeper here. All right, just Leovold hitting play is okay. So my knight is small. My knight is a 3/3. I can attack, but if my opponent blocks, I'm incentivized to tap Mom, which I really don't want to do. I can play a Green Sun for 1, get a Noble Hierarch, become Exalted, and then be attacking for 4. But if I run into a Deluge or a Deed, I will feel absolutely devastated about it. So I think I take a turn off to use Knight. Alright, so how am I going to use Knight? Knight can give me 4 total mana, which means that I can Green Sun for 2 this turn. Which can get a Scrib Ranger, which can allow me to Knight again, and then really play around Toxic Deluge specifically. And also get Cradle. Okay. Where does that lead me? So if I go like tap Plains, Knight, get Cradle, have 4 mana, tap 4, 5, green sun for 3. I can get another knight. Or I can, like, again, get Scrib Ranger. I don't think I want to needle, or sorry, I don't think I want to, like, just go and start wasting them when they have Leovold and they get to, like, draw a bunch of cards. I don't like that world. So, okay, what if I get Needle? Sorry, there's Needle in chat. All right. What if I get Cradle, use it to cast Green Sun for 3, no, Green Sun for 2, get Scrib Ranger, untap Knight, use Knight, get Caracas, bounce Leovold? That's fine. All right. So, all right, regardless, my turn starts like this. I don't think I want to, like, cast another Green Sun. I think that's committing too much to the board. I think I'll just send the Knight in. Strix is an annoyance. But again, definitely not the end of the world. I could just have my opponent dead in 2 turns tonight. Thought Seize Me is kind of annoying. But it's 2 damage to you. Oh, wow, took the Mom over the Green Sun. That is interesting. So I think my plan is to just grow the Knight as big as possible. No, I don't think I need the Green Sun to, like, destroy this. Well, maybe I do. All right. So let's math. Deed would cost 4 mana. Toxic Deluge would cost so much mana, so much life that my opponent, like, simply could not use it. I think I'm just supposed to use Mom, protect Knight, crash in with Knight for a largish number, and wasteland my opponent. And just, like, limit them on mana so that nothing like kicked marsh casualties or anything like that is going to get me. Can we just kill my opponent? I didn't do the math on that. So I can wasteland myself. That'll grow it to an 8. And then if I also activate Knight for a fetch land, that's 9. Plus 10 in the air. Scrib Ranger? Yeah, you're right. You're right. So let me just confirm that. So I need to do 9 damage with Knight. So I have 6, 7, 8, 9 with a Knight activation. Use Scrib Ranger to untap it. Okay. Neat. What do you mean, no wait? Did I mess up? Oh, I have 1 forest? No, I haven't used Ranger yet. So I need to, like, both sacrifice a land and play a land? Okay. So I go Knight, getting rid of Savannah. You get a fetch land that puts 2 in graveyard, turns it into a 9. Or I guess I can get Wasteland with this. Did I mess up? So... No, I haven't played a land for turn. Alright, I'm good. Okay. I guess I can be good and untap this. Chat made me second guess myself. But we totally had it on board. Alright, so the last 2 matches of this league were awesome, and that's really what I wanted to be doing with this deck. So, I'm happy with this deck. I would totally play this deck again. As you probably saw, the matches and the lines can get kind of complicated. I certainly made some play errors tonight, but I think most of our losses were kind of outside of my control. And I'm okay with that at the end of the day. The deck list itself felt very, very good. I liked sort of my in-out numbers, although some of my inexperience led to, you know, maybe me making some small sideboarding mistakes. But I never felt like I was just, like, really off on the number of sideboard cards I should have for any matchups or anything like that. So, like, on paper, the finish is unimpressive, right? Like, that was a 2-3 league. But, again, I think the losses were not indicative of the power of the deck. And I think that's something important to note when you're doing testing. Like, you can have a terrible run with a deck and still accept that you think the deck is good. Like, I lost 3 rounds tonight. But I didn't feel like I necessarily lost to, like, terrible matchups or anything. Like, we lost to lands. Well, why did we lose to lands? Because they had Tabernacle in their opener two games in a row when I was on slow starts. Okay, that makes sense. Is lands a bad matchup overall? Well, I don't know. Like, we have giant knights that demand basically the card Maze of Ith as the answer. We have a lot of fast mana that lets us accelerate into some big dumb stuff, and we can do an okay job of ignoring the punishing Firelock with, you know, things like sort of Fire and Ice and Knight of the Reliquary. Palace Jailer can draw us a butt ton of cards, and we're pretty good at not dying to Merilage. So maybe that one's not abysmal. You know, we lost to Ant. Our hands were insane all 3 games, but we lost to die roll. So we lost. That's okay. I accept everything that happened here. So I do want to thank D. Neely. He donated some ticks to make this league happen. So thank you for that. Sorry I didn't put on a better show, but I hope those last 2 matches in particular were entertaining, and I hope you enjoyed. For everyone else, thank you for joining me tonight, and now I kind of want to do a special offer here. So I'm planning on doing some exhibition matches versus Phoenix last week, and I'm real close to my donation goal to make that happen, so I don't want to miss that. So here's my offer for anyone that is currently in chat. And I'm going to go ahead and take a snip of this real quick so I know everyone who's here. All right. So here's the offer to all of you wonderful people lurking in chat and watching. My standing offer for anyone currently in chat is that my donation deck list price is cut in half for tonight. So if you decide that you want to do a donation deck list and get something featured on this stream, 6 ticks is my price tonight, so that we can go and finish off that and make sure I go and hit my my threshold for my goal. How to donate? It's PayPal. So I'll throw the link in chat here, but it is creatively paypal.me/ThrabenUniversity. So you can donate through that link, or you can PayPal me directly, philgallagher11@gmail.com. When you donate, I ask 2 things. Number 1, just throw your username in here. Discount price applies to those people who are in chat right now. And number 2, send me a link to a deck list. You know, don't use this opportunity to just, like, troll me or anything, you know. I will refuse legacy deck lists that are just, like, absolutely ridiculously horrible. We had a disastrous Enchantress stream one time that was, like, a list that had never been tested and had too many 3-drops. And I have refused one other deck list so far. But any reasonable legacy deck list, even if it's fringe, is, like, totally fine by me. And that's just one way that you can choose to, like, go and support the channel. Otherwise, if you're enjoying my content, please follow. You know, I'm pushing out legacy content 3 times a week, every Monday and Wednesday night, as well as Saturday mornings. And I'm doing a little bit of stuff on the side as well. I've got a tutoring gig going on tomorrow night, and I've got a few side projects here and there that will probably come to light at some point. So thank you all for watching. I'm going to turn you over to my friend Arkin, who is probably playing Legacy of some nature. I don't know what he's on tonight, but I think he's been playing around with some combo decks recently. So thank you all for joining me. I hope you had fun, and good night. And thank you, Tales of Dawn. You have a great night, and I'll check and see what shenanigans you're sending me.